Yo creo que puse recording también. Ok. Ya hicieron recording en los demás. Okay. Okay, so good morning. Today we're gonna be discussing about a very controversial topic, a very something that's been talked about for years and years, because it's a topic that, you know, in today's society, people have been there's more video games surging up. They have been more accessible to kids and to teenagers. So today we're gonna be discussing if video games should be banned for minors. So I want to start with Miranda, and I want to get your like your thoughts, and why do you support banning video games for kids, and why do you think that it's something that society needs to be taking should be considering?
Okay, well, good morning. I'm Miranda, and I'm really against this topic and this practice because, as a sister and as a person who has little brothers and who have seen the development, I know for sure that violence and like this type of dispositives are like really addictive for kids, and I have seen it in my relatives. And I also know that there are some video games that contain a lot of violence that are like hidden on a reward action and activity, because in some games, like, the goal is to kill 100 people, and the person is like, well, I'm going to kill 100 people and I'm going to get rewarded for that. And in many studies we have seen that these kind of activities where people get rewarded for killing, assaulting, and committing crimes, like for example, Grand Theft Auto. Some kids start to normalize this kind of thinking or this kind of lifestyle, and it's like a joke, or it's like, no, they don't see like the relevance and the importance of these actions. So I really think those kind of video games, and also others that we may talk a little further, are really like not so good for kids and youth.
Okay. So Mariana, we heard from Miranda that video games have this. I mean, she spoke about addiction and violence. And what do you think? What do you think? Do you think that these topics inside video games have a negative effect at all, or what is your stance with this topic?
Taking note that there is video games that include a lot of violence, such as violence related to gangs and stuff, like the game you mentioned that is Grand Theft Auto. It must be mentioned and acknowledged that such games like Grand Theft Auto, and Call of Duty do come with age restrictions, and they are actually, in fact, banned for minors. I'm pretty sure the age restriction is 18 and over, and any individual below that age is considered a minor. So it is a fact that they are banned for minors, such games. However, there are other types of video games that do not include violence that are actually made for kids to have some sense of to have an activity that they can use to relax themselves. But there are also many benefits that come with video games. But yes, there are video games that include a lot of violence, but those specific games that include violence are in fact banned for minors.
So you're saying that video games generally are not like, it's very generalized for video games to be violent and other things, but you're saying that there's other video games that actually, you know, are beneficial for some kids and for some teenagers. So Miranda, what is your thoughts on this? Why do you think that having video games that are not violent or anything are beneficial for little kids and for teenagers?
Well, I won't say that there are no like specific games made for specific people with a specific goal, like games that are for better concentration, or games that are for the environment, and those kind of games, I know that they are like educative and stuff, but I also know for a fact that there are some games that might be like a little bit strange for the parents, because like I'm going to put the example of Roblox, because
Mhm.
Roblox is a game that seems really inoffensive and like it's like little cubes and stuff, and it's not really that violent and in the tops of the parents, but I have played this game and it has a lot of maps that may not have like age restriction and may not have like warnings for the parents because it's a free server. So in this case, like Roblox is a game supposedly for children and for youth, but it has like really creepy stuff and really triggering stuff for kids also that um may promote this type of behaviors or even traumatize the kids. And I also, with this topic of Roblox and this like popularity that has gotten, I also notice on the youth, and also a lot of researchers have noticed that these kind of games and the formula that they have and the type of topic that they touch may disrupt sleep on some children and also cause media addiction, and this may last for a long time and may also disrupt the health of the child on long term, because it is not planned and it is not crafted the game on a very much detailed way. Only they're craft for joy and for be funny, but it really has no deep meaning of deep research or story or well crafted way, like a security crafted way.
Okay. So Emiliano, we heard from Miranda right now that even though some games may appear beneficial or may appear inoffensive, they can have negative effects on children, such as health related topics like sleep and addiction. So I want to hear your thoughts about this, and I don't know if you want to, you know, say any personal thoughts about this, or if you have a different opinion from Miranda.
Yes, of course. Hi, my name is Emiliano, and I am also against the banning of the video games. Following up on some of the comments that we have recently heard, as my partner here, Mariana, stated, most of these video games do come with some sort of disclaimers regarding age restriction and use disclaimers such as responsibility and liability about the effects of this. So what I'm going to with this point is that all of these video games that are normally being used by younger kids do come with disclaimers and information regarding the liability that they take on this, and that each user is responsible for the use they give to the video game. So my point here is that parents should be more aware and more responsible in terms of what their kid uses and what their kid uses their time for, because most of these video games are made for an age in which people are already mature enough and fully mentally developed so that they can be like aware of their decisions and aware of the effects that these actions are taking on them. And for example, the sleep deprived issue has already thanks to the technological advances, there has been many solutions to these regarding because it is not actually the cause of this is not video games in fact, like it is more so the screens and the brightness that they use and the technology that screen uses that causes this sleep deprivation. So it is not directly linked to video games. You can get the same sleep, the lack of sleep, by using your telephone, just by looking at social media. It is not mainly due to video games. And some of the other facts, following up also on some of the arguments that we have thought out, is the relation between well, yes, touching on the previous point about violent video games and the effect of this. Some of the studies show that there is not a strong relation between violent video games and violent outcomes, such as mass shootings or school shootings. In fact, the University of Iowa did a study on May 1st of this year, and this study showed that out of the general populace, 70% of the kids play violent video games, but when done research, actually only 20% of the people who have done crimes such as mass murders or school shootings are the ones who play violent video games. So actually, the least percentage of these people that have committed crimes are the ones who are interested on violent video games. And there's a lot more evidence regarding this in terms of the U.S. being the country with the most shootings and stuff, but there is no they are not, sorry, they are not the largest video game consumer.
Okay. So Mariana, we heard from Emiliano that it's not necessarily the video games itself, but it can be other factors that, can influence on the behaviors of children, like violence and he mentioned as well as school shootings and everything. What do you think about it? Do you think it's more that external factors have a stronger influence or stronger responsibility for these children, like their parents? It's not necessarily video games' fault. What are your thoughts about this?
I have to agree with my counterpart because I fully know that the principal responsible of this, all of these, are the parents of the kids, and 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 the environment where they are, because I know for a fact that sometimes video games and all this media is used by the children to escape from any cause or any problem that the kid may be facing at school, at home, and it is like a safe place for the kid, but it has many cases, like maybe the parents don't know or don't care about what the kid is doing, and or in his hometown is like there happen a lot of shootings or etc. So it absolutely have has a lot of factors, but I also know that uh that video games is not always like the best companion for these kids in problems, or these kids, because as we said, that there are kids that obviously don't don't mind playing violent games, and that the parents also don't mind because they also support it, or I don't know. But all these causes and not only for violent games, but all this causes a lot of mental health issues, because as we've seen, it has like affected attention because of also the fast cuts on the games. We can see that recently with TikTok or with other media that has this tendency of switching a lot, and it affects a lot of the attention. And also, like, addiction is really prominent with this type of kids that had a lot of problems in their environment, because it is like the only thing that where they feel good, where they feel safe. So for these kids and for also other kids, the World Health Organization that in June of 2018 declared that gaming addiction was like a mental health disorder for some cases. And it also suggested that video games can be addicted for kids, and all these issue may increase the depression and anxiety levels of these kids, and that these kids may also like develop social phobias because of the decision or the development inside the game, and the addiction of getting the rewards, of getting the good feeling about being in the game and not on the outside world where all the problems are. But I know, and I agree with my counterpart that it has a lot of factors, but video games is not the best way to deal and to cope with all these factors. I know.
Okay, so Mariana, I want to get your thoughts about what Miranda says, that, about mental health and about video games. What is your stance on this?
While it is true that surrounding mental health of children do involve other factors, not just the fact that they play video games about 2-3 hours a day, because this involves habits, and habits are not only formed by one activity they do during the day. Kids have a schedule, and if they practice different habits and they practice different activities, they can actually manage a balanced life and involve video games throughout their day without it having negative impacts on them. Because research has shown that there are actually 4 aspects through which video games have shown positive effects. For example, cognitive involves the attention span of kids, and it has been shown that a child who plays video games, for example, can have measurable changes in neural processing and efficiency. This means that they are more alert to things that happen throughout their day, and they are quicker. They have a quick pace in thought. For example, another aspect is motivational. Throughout video games, they constantly fail and get little wins throughout their gameplay, and this actually really helps kids, and especially young children, to manage failure and to learn from their mistakes and to actually gain some sort of seed of motivation to keep going. So while video games can become a negative habit that children can have, it also can help them develop good habits, such as coping with failure. Another aspect that video games really helps young children is emotional. They learn to cope not only with failure but with their emotions. They learn to manage the rage while they're gaming. They learn to manage when they fail, when they do not get what they want. They learn to manage happiness and bursts, especially excessive and accelerating bursts of happiness that they get throughout their gameplay. So it has many positive effects that sort of in a way counteract the negative effects that playing video games for an hour a day can have on them. And lastly, one last aspect that playing video games can also have on young children is social. They can not only learn, so it has been proven throughout studies ever since video games came out, like in the 60s, that playing video games can actually help children become more pro-social or get pro-social characteristics in them, such as helping and being more empathetic, being more alert of other people's emotions. And in fact, a lot of children actually play video games. So a study found that 70% of gamers play games with their friends, either as counterparts or as a team. So the whole argument that that video games make children more seclusive and close to themselves is actually not entirely true, because a lot of children find video games as a sort of like a space of sharing experiences and making new friends to develop themselves.
So Emiliano, Mariana said that, video games bring a lot of beneficial factors for a kid's mental health, such as, she was sharing about, sharing experiences, sharing, developing good habits throughout video games. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think there's other beneficial things about video games that, it could be like different external factors that a kid can, take advantage on video games? And what are your thoughts on this? Do you think there are other benefits?
Yes, of course. One of the main topics that we haven't touched in detail on is the fact that video games, generally, there is a concept or a misconception that video games are only like an entertainment activity, such as when you have free time or when you are bored or such. But the reality is that video games have become a source of income for many people around the world, and in a very big way, because some of the numbers that I'm gonna get into detail in a moment are far greater than some of the workers that work on the ordinary, to say something, uh, stuff like workers on, I don't know, a department store or such. Uh, Actually, there's at least 7 ways that people can make video games their source of income, and the most strong one would be either game development or game streaming. Game streaming has become super popular in the last couple of years. Recently, due to the pandemic, as we know, we have stayed at home, and this fact and this event of the pandemic has led to a rise of more than 90% of users in streaming platforms such as Twitch, which is the most popular one. And Twitch and also many other streaming platforms can provide a source of income for a lot of people who play video games, who do online activities. But the biggest product and the biggest streaming topic is video games. Kids, even kids as young as, I don't know, like high school, can start streaming their video games. They don't have to be violent or anything. They can literally play whatever they want, and this platform provides them a source in which they can gather communities and have fun and earn money. Uh, some numbers that I can share with you would be that some of the new streamers that recently entered the platform and have begin to start creating a community and such can earn from $50 a month, which is maybe not that much, but this would be to very inactive users. But they can also earn up to $1,500 a month with very low following and very basic communities. Regular streamers who average above 1,000 views on their streams can average in average about $2,500 a month, which is way more than the average worldwide people earn. So that's a very good thing, and this is also remembering that this is only an average streamer, and top streamers can make more than $1 million a year just from streaming video games. So this is a serious source of income, and it should not be like taken as a joke.
Okay, so Miranda, we heard from Emiliano and Mariana that these beneficial factors, and something very important that Emiliano stated it's about income, you know, that people can now make a living out of video games, and you can start from early as 12 years old or something because of the new technology that's been, you know, surging. So I want to get your thoughts on this, and then you can do a closing statement.
Okay. Well, I think it's great that video games have this power and that people can make a living of what they love. And I absolutely support that. But I also think that video games and the people who start to do this needs to be people that are like mental stable and that don't feel like video games and all this is a pressure for themselves, because maybe they have an like they are really sensitive of these video games, and they really never took care of that sensibility of that trauma that make us, and they start streaming, and we need to find, I think, along video games, like a treatment for people that may not feel like 100% secure about video games or about the impact that the video games may have on themselves. And I think that for closer, I think we can both parties can find a solution, and I think that solution may be like an obvious one, that the parents needs to, that it's not bad for video games to exist and for kids to play. It's great, like we heard. And I only think that the parents and the communities and people needs to be more aware of all the bad side that the video games make us on children, and the parents also need to really inform themselves on what the kids is playing on, or what messages the video game promotes. And I think that's a good solution.
Thank you. So thank you all for being here and present in this debate. We covered a lot. We came to the conclusion that video games can be beneficial, cannot be beneficial in some ways. But in the end, everything comes down to, you know, the person, the kid, the parents. You know, there are other factors that influence a kid's behavior, not necessarily video games. We presented data and everything that, you know, supported these claims. But in the end, there was a very good debate. We heard a lot of coherent ideas, very good ideas, and, you know, it was a very good debate. And yeah, thank you all for being here. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything else.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank you.
the debate.